You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about how to cope with annoying younger siblings. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Matt A.K. Stormageddon.
Today, we help out our favorite spiky girlfriend, Vetra Nyx, with the help of our pal, Adam Bailey.
Hey, I'm back from the Asari Monastery.
Welcome.
Was it a good stay?
I mean, we tore the place down.
There's ragers every night. Adam, it's so good to have you back on. Why don't you remind folks a little bit about what you do?
Hi, I'm Adam. I work in medical education as a simulation builder. Basically, I do simulated encounters with patients who are actors typically, and we teach and test bedside manner and those sorts of soft skills to med students, PAs, future physical therapists, other groups I am forgetting at the moment. And then also, I think I vaguely teased at the end of my last appearance that I had an upcoming project, and when I'm not doing the med school thing now, I am working on Horizons Point, allegedly a D&D podcast, which is as actual play as most actual play podcasts are, in that we only kind of know the rules and intentionally ignore them as often as not.
That's the way to play.
Love that. We are so excited to have you back. And of course, you shared with us your Mass Effect trilogy experience previously, but now you are back to talk about Andromeda and specifically Vetra Nyx. So first, before we talk about why Vetra, tell us a little bit about your experience with Andromeda. Did you play it when it first came out? Did you play it for the first time recently? And how you felt about it initially?
Yeah, it was a long, weird road. I think with half the group of people that if you were not an early adopter who took to it, I think this was sort of the path. I don't think I jumped on it, immediately for whatever reason, and then was hearing about buggy launch, so I gave it till patches were out. Then I remember my first attempt, I didn't even get off of Habitat 7 before I just shrugged and said I liked these enemies better in Saints Row 4. Which, by the way, if you ever go play Saints Row 4, the Zen are identical to the Ket. A little less interesting to look at, ultimately, but I hadn't met many of them at that point and gave up for a while. Then, I don't even remember how I came back around, but I know I was giving Inquisition and Andromeda a try at the same time because the people at GameStop harassed me like they didn't want to sell the games on their shelves. But then I actually got into it, and I like it for the exploration, but weirdly I never finished it. I had done everything except what I thought was the end of the game, and just sat it down and walked away, and life happened, and so I was excited when you guys got to hear in the general Mass Effect run. Life got in the way again. I get a message from Frankie saying, hey, can we record in the next couple weeks? And here I was back on EOS having just met PB.
Oh, no.
I have blown through in the subsequent 2 weeks, and now I was anxious to get everything done in notes, so I colonized everywhere, then did Vetra, then caught back up with you guys, which I'm still... Liam came before Vetra. I'm a little mad about that.
Well, he's the first one who gave us a loyalty mission, and he's been really annoying.
He would have waited till last on mine if I hadn't been ignoring the side stuff that leads up to PB's, so I had a lot of running around to do to talk to her. Anyway, I've now just pushed on through and beaten the game, and it is... I like mechanically this better than the original trilogy. I think I haven't actually gone through Legendary yet because it came out right when we were finishing up, and I was like, I can't right now. I can't again with the emotions. So I don't know how much it's, especially 1, has been cleaned up mechanically, but this feels a lot better to play.
Well, I mean, 1 is playable, so that's a start.
That is a start.
The aiming. So while 1 mechanically still suffers the most of the 3 because it's not a remake, it's just a remaster. Aiming and targeting and killing enemies is much easier, and all of the gun sway has been removed. So whatever weapon you're using, it doesn't sway. So
That's
like,
good.
yeah, like you still get damage bonuses and stuff from speccing into them, but like all of the, like, you can't hold a gun straight if you don't know how to use it, which was the dumbest thing ever, is gone. So like it is infinitely more playable. Like I've played through the opening of Mass Effect 1 several times now because I restarted it on PC and then I restarted it on my Steam Deck, and because I'm a creature of habit, and like I'm enjoying it. But then again, I was someone who always like didn't mind quote unquote suffering through the first game. Like I feel like even when we went back to it for Reignite, like I had complaints, but like I was like, this is fun. So
Kind of the same on my end. That like it was an experience of, I have way more complaints than I remember having when this was new, and I was apparently willing to accept that from an action RPG. But they really fixed a lot.
yeah.
And now I just like getting to glide and dance around random planets in either my Mako 1.5 or just
The Nomad.
on foot.
You put respect on that name.
I do really make that thing dance on the asteroid, though.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but there was some interesting party banter while I was driving around on the asteroid.
I'm so excited to hear y'all's experience with that, because my car was insane.
Well, before we get into the mission in depth, Frankie, why don't we have a summary?
All right. In Vetra's turn on the Writer Loyalty Tour, Cid gave Vetra intel on some settlers who had gone missing and tracked them to the asteroid that was intended to be the Turing Golden World, which was also a bust. Big surprise. After doing some epic low-gravity jumps and causing our party members to cry out for their lives, it's time to get serious. The building seems abandoned with no settlers in sight. Was Cid wrong? A tripwire says otherwise, landing Ryder and Vetra with the settlers. Merryweather claims Vetra hid from her in the first place. Vetra is clueless, as she had never heard of these people or this mysterious Merryweather. It doesn't take long for Vetra to put the pieces together, though, and identify her little sister as the culprit, using Vetra's name and voice to perform acts of kindness throughout Helios. We take the escort mission to a new level as we move through the base, deciding how to make use of our gal in the van, Sedaria Nix.
This mission, so especially coming off of Liam's mission that mechanically was not great, but like was fun narratively, this one was very fun narratively, but also does something, we'll get more into it in a minute, but like mechanically with Cid helping you out is some of the coolest stuff I think I've seen that we've done in Andromeda that we've not ever done before or felt like it was playing up to something we've seen in Mass Effect before. Like, here's a thing you loved, we're bringing it back. Like, this felt kind of wholly unique in its structure and stuff.
Yeah, I really liked the setup for this. I liked how we have Cid kind of guiding us through, giving us kind of advice on how she can help, and us making a decision on what kind of encounter we want to have. It's a little choose your own adventure almost.
Yeah, I had forgotten how interesting mechanically this mission becomes. Really, what I was remembering initially was, I'm gonna admit, a scene from a later mission, it turns out, and then also that opening where you get dropped down a trap door, and then it's a little bit of the same scanning for pipes mechanics that you're used to at this point, but with the added, my girlfriend's being very defensive about me accusing her of helping people.
Like, oh, Vetra, you did a nice thing. And she's like, you shut your fucking mouth. I did not.
Yeah, I'm like, all the blind eyes I've turned to all of the shady stuff in every hub we've been in. I don't know why you distance yourself from this.
Well, we'll get to the narrative stuff more in depth in a minute, but we should talk about landing on this asteroid, which when we did, and I accidentally didn't choose my crew, I immediately restarted and then realized when we landed that I didn't have to take Vetra. I'm like, what the hell? Until I realized it was an open world area. It's an area that you can move around in, and that it's not till you get to your location that it's specifically Vetra's mission. But we should talk about, before we get any further, who we brought. I, of course, brought Vetra and Drac because they are the duo.
They're pals.
What about you, Frankie?
Vetra and Jal.
Oh, you really bringing Jal on this tour here, like kind of showing him around.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're my polycule.
As long as we all didn't bring Vetra and Drac.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, did you bring Drac as well?
Yeah, if
I did think about it.
If I am going for somebody's specific like plot line or whatever, I'll bring them along. But ever since the first game, I have felt the most comfortable if I have my Turian and Krogan over each shoulder.
That's valid.
That's legit, yeah.
If anything goes ready, they're prepared if I'm not.
Yes, also true, especially Drac. I feel like I bring Drac just because it's like, well, I could probably almost die, but Drac would probably save me.
Yeah, it's true.
He does not care for heights, as it turns out.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to bring up. So Frankie had mentioned in the last episode to not drive off into the void, which I already had kind of assumed I knew what that meant, since in whatever the desert planet is that we were on, every time there was a crater, I hit that thing like I was aiming for it. Like I just couldn't not miss those.
And this one's way worse to you than Eladrin was.
Yes. And so I the funniest thing though is because it's all triggered by the mechanics of the car, like I'd be nowhere near the edge of the crater, but I'd hit the boost and then Drac would start screaming for his life. And I'm like, suck it up. We're not even at the edge yet.
Joe and Vetra were both like, Ryder, no! And my response was always, Ryder, yes! All right, who here got the hang time achievement?
I didn't.
Oh.
I don't know if I did. I can't remember. I think I must have. I feel like I did.
didn't. How long do you have to stay up?
35 seconds.
I have to have gotten close to that, because I flew halfway. That's my biggest problem, is how rich it is for mining, but you have to be connected to the ground to launch a mining probe.
Yeah.
I sailed over all the best deposits.
So John and I actually like worked together to get this because we were trying to figure out the best way to do it. So you have to like jump and boost in alternation.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to like hit a certain point where there's a long stretch of chasm, and you just have to travel across the chasm, just hitting jump and boost and jump and boost and jump and boost.
Amazing.
I think I did that with one of the Batman Arkham games, had a similar achievement for you just have to find the place to glide long enough.
Yeah, I think that was the second game. I think Arkham City, if you like glided across half the city, like you got an achievement or whatever. Yeah, I don't think I got the hang time achievement, but I did definitely get hang time because like there's one area where there's obviously a bridge, like kind of landmarked.
The bridge!
And so I went across the bridge, but then on the second, where the second bridge was so much further out from the mission. I was like, well, this is dumb. I'm not going to go all the way over there to get to the mission. So there's like this little like point that the edge comes to before that, and several times it's just I go off that ledge and both Vetra and Drac are like, ah, as we're plummeting to our death. It was comedy gold.
I cleared out the new Krogan homeworld without falling in one bottomless pit. I didn't even see the bridge until I was halfway over that chasm. That was also the first time Drac screamed for me, which was
Nice.
appropriate because we did not make it. But I hit the other side just such that the forward station dropped.
Nice.
So I just fast traveled straight to it.
That's amazing. Love that.
Perfect. So good.
No notes.
I wish there was more on this asteroid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have one kind of side mission.
And it's fun.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't my favorite thing to do.
For what that turns into, I wish there weren't the bubbles. The bubbles
Yeah.
are what make this planet a little more of a hassle, just because you're having to get in the car, get out the car, get in the car, but it's new screens having to load instead of just dropping you next to it on any of the other planets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't love this planet. It's not very interesting. Like the jumping around is fun, but that gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
Valid.
I'm like, okay, I just want to go where I have to
If
go.
they could have given us something like a forest moon like Star Wars did, but
Yeah.
still low gravity. Something pretty to look at while I fly around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they gave us a forest with low gravity, it wouldn't be a forest for much longer because I'd go careening through those trees, flattening out
Rip
that
them
land.
all up.
This is how you do logging, right?
Right.
This is
You
how
just
we
crash your
get
car
wood.
into it.
Minecraft taught me I just punched the tree.
Right, obviously. That's how you do anything. Look, we have a Krogan that punches walls and makes doors, so like why not, right? It all works. But yeah, as Frankie said, when we finally get to the mission, to the location, it's quiet, no one's around. And like the minute Ryder I think it's either Ryder or Vetra goes, "Oh wow, it's too quiet." I was like, "You don't say that. You never say that. Never."
It's quiet. Too quiet.
And then, of course, it pans down to Ryder's foot as you trip a tripwire and plummet. And there was something so funny to me about how cartoonishly Ryder just face plants onto the ground. And then it fades out, like, and then they show, like, you standing around. But, like, it was just, like, very Wile E. Coyote as you hit the ground. It would have been better if then Ryder also sighed heavily because, like, that's how I felt in that moment.
Yeah.
I loved, if I'm remembering correctly on mine at least, Vetra was then apologizing for landing on Drac, and I'm like,
yes,
of all the crew, he's not gonna care. He didn't even feel that.
Vetra apologizes to Jaal as well.
Yeah,
See, Jaal's at least an appropriate size for another humanoid landing on him to be a hassle physically.
I feel like Drac would be like, "Wait, you did? I didn't feel anything," you know? But it's not too much after this that Vetra begins to be thanked by a cargo container size room full of colonists for rescuing them, or former rebels. And Vetra's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't do anything." And it's shortly after that where you like, when you can talk to everyone, that you can go over to Vetra and thank her, like talk to her and be like, "Oh, this is a nice thing you did." And Vetra's like, "I didn't do anything." And like, he's really mad and insubordinate about saving people. And I was like, yikes, someone's cranky. What's happening? It was very confusing, but very funny.
I had even read the room, and I was like, I'm going to ask every other branching thing to her before I bring this
Yes,
up.
same.
But I feel like I have to bring this up.
And she's so sincere about, like, I have no idea. And like, after then, when you go to the door and do the first few things to like escape the room, and you hear Vetra's voice again, I went, "Oh, I know what's happening here." Like, I did figure it out pretty quickly. I was like, "Oh," at first I was like, "Is it a clone? They wouldn't do the clone thing again." And then I was like, "Oh no, it's got to be Sid. This has got to be Sid with like some voice modulator." And sure enough, shortly after that, we find out it is Sid, who wanted to help people, but no one would take Sid seriously. So Sid just pretended to be Vetra instead. No big deal.
Yeah.
It was working very well, it seems, right until now.
Yeah, conveniently.
Like, yes, it was, but also, no, it wasn't.
Oh,
like,
man.
oh, Sid.
She means well, and like
She does.
I get wanting to help. Like, I get like, look, I have an older sibling, and like also the want to show people in your family that you can do stuff when they are babying you. Like, I get pushing back against that. I've experienced it. It sucks to be not taken seriously, and so like I get that, but also like, Sid is a little bit of a goober, but that said, because my Ryder is a little bit of a goober, I of course always sided with Sid every option I had, because like, she's trying her best. And aren't we all just trying our best?
I sided with Sid too because I felt like arguments will not make this better right now.
Yeah.
I tended to side with Sid, but, you know, ride the line every so often. I wanted to be encouraging.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
I
you don't want to
fully
make your girlfriend mad.
Right, but I fully support her sister's goals and ambitions.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so after this section, after we have after Vetra has a stern conversation with Sid, and Sid reveals herself, we start to see the main mechanic of this mission, which is that every new room, you can get a lay of the land via security camera thanks to Sid, and then make choices about something to interact with or nothing that will change the tide of battle. The first time, it's just hiding from guards and seeing them pass, and then kind of sneaking up on them and getting a sneak attack and taking them out. But as we pursue more rooms, you could go for extra goods and services, but you will also get more enemies to kick your ass, or you can blow up a console and kill more enemies, but then you can't get that equipment. In another room, you could like take out a mech preemptively, things like that. And I think this was brilliant. I wish I wish there were more moments in the main trilogy where like Joker was your eyes in the sky, like, hey boss, I can take this stuff out. Or even your hacker companions later on, like I can preemptively take this stuff out to change the flow of battle. Because it seems like something that Legion or Kasumi would be able to do. And it'd be a cool mechanic.
Matt, everything you said was extremely important, but I need to know what kind of services were available in your playthrough.
I was stuck in both realms.
I couldn't think of the word cargo, and so my brain went to goods and services for no reason. And once I said it, I wasn't doubling back. I was finishing my train of thought.
And I mean,
if
did
there
not
had
want
been
to interrupt.
engineers in that workshop, there could have been services of
There could have been
armor
services,
repair.
yes.
Yeah, you never know.
Or like me, the first time you come into that first room, you blow the generator, then charge into the middle of the room and die.
Oh, I did that.
So then I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just take the extra people and get the treasure then.
It's funny for me that didn't happen because I am so far. Like I started this game being all up in people's faces melee, and I went the whole opposite. I'm pretty much a sentinel. I use a lot of overload and like throw and push. And so like when they were already being electrocuted, I was like, oh sweet, more electricity, and then went all Emperor Palpatine on them.
So the first time I blew the generator, I had charged in and I got killed. The second time I blew the generator, the animation glitched. So I walked in and I decided to wait, and then the generator just never blew up, but then everyone just fell down dead.
Okay.
Amazing. Look,
I was like, well, okay then.
a win's a win.
I think that's the ideal way to get through that room.
Yeah.
It worked out.
But yeah, I like this ability to choose the different things. Like I chose the mech. I chose to disable that in that room instead of other things. Because I was like, I don't want to. I was mad though after the fact because you fight the pilot and then I get near the mech and it still looks like it's kind of functioning. It just can't do anything. I was like, can we turn it back on now? Like I'm here.
Can I have it?
Yeah, can I?
I
use
would
this?
like it.
Yeah, because like as cheesy as the mech battles were in the third game, I really loved doing them. I'm a sucker for a mech, and so like
They were
it would
fun.
have been nice. Yeah.
What did you do in the second room, both of you?
That's
with the
the
animals.
cages.
Yeah.
I turned off the turrets. I didn't turn them on the enemies. I just turned them off.
Okay.
It was turn off the turrets, open the cages, or turn them on the enemies.
Yeah.
I think. I think I opened the cages. No,
Yeah?
I didn't. I turned off the turrets. I considered opening the cages because I do like a chaotic battlefield, but I knew the fiend was getting out either way just because of. Ooh, they've got a
Right.
fiend there, but we can't do anything with it. I was like, well,
Well,
that
I
means
know what that
I have
means.
to fight that.
yep. I also turned off the turrets.
I play kind of like a combination of both of those, Matt. I would say
Yeah.
I am largely. I said it to Explorer. I am
Yeah,
a
that's
full
the best
like
one in my
level
opinion.
6 Explorer and stay that way because it gives the dash ability, the little Nightcrawler Bamfy version of it where I
Yeah.
can. It says teleport through things. I learned you can teleport out through windows, but not back in through them because there are a number of buildings on Eos that I have accidentally had to just reclimb. But yeah, I do that, so I basically am just throwing biotic spells all over the place while jumping from point to point. Which it's been fun. It's better for exploration, but not so much when you blow up the generator.
Which one
Yeah.
did you choose, Frankie, of those?
I turned off the turrets.
Mhm.
I did think about freeing the animals because part of me is like, they shouldn't be in cages. But then I remembered they will try to kill me.
Yeah. Remember how could you forget that every planet we go to, animals are always trying to kill us? That's
Always trying to kill us. It just feels unfair.
Yeah.
Like the bug animals should be running away from me.
Yeah.
Like why do you have to throw hands? I can step on you.
I think I accidentally did because I did open like one of the cages after the fight cleared. I think you can go in and open them. I remember
didn't
having
try.
to fight one bug or just being like, can I do this? And then I learned that I could and left the rest of them alone. Because I agree, they don't deserve to be in the cages, but my math was, well, if they're loose, I will have to kill them. So it's in everybody's
Yeah.
best
Exactly.
interest that they just stay there.
yeah,
Exactly.
I agree.
And then for the last one, Matt, you said that you deactivated the mech. Is that right?
Correct.
How about you, Adam?
I think that there was, you couldn't like blow up the mech too. It was
No.
the mech or the
No.
generator, I think, wasn't it?
There was the mech. There was a fuel tank.
Oh, the
There
fuel tank was
was-
the area effect thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I disabled the mech.
Okay.
I agreed with my writer. There's one thing in the room I don't want to have to fight, and it's that.
So I did nothing for the last one
Huh.
because I was curious about something. This was a little meta gaming, but it was also a little in the moment as well. Because Vetra says to Sid only one thing, because if you mess around too much, they're going to find you.
Right.
Oh.
So it's like, I have asked Sid to do 2 things so far, and that feels like it's pushing it. Maybe I should have Sid not do anything. So I decided not to have Sid not do anything. And, like, it wasn't a hard fight, so I didn't really care. It didn't affect me in any way.
Did it actually affect the story?
I was like, did it
No,
help?
there was no
Okay.
different outcome.
Okay.
But maybe
I know better
if-
than to trust BioWare to make that kind of a nuanced decision.
But maybe if I had only had her do one thing,
Maybe.
That actually is a really good question. Is there a threshold for the mission that won't
Right.
get her found?
yeah. So something to think about.
That was probably my tensest trigger moment, was the end of this mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a conversation between Vetra and Sid as we're clearing out the room. And Sid's talking about how horrible the entire experience has been so far. Like, I knew what you guys did, but I've never had to actually see it before. Did
Yeah.
you have to kill everybody? And Sid is discovering for the first time that the life that Vetra lives, it's not fun. Like, it can be, but it's not like, I'm going to go out and go on an
It's exciting,
adventure.
but it's not fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's stressful
Yeah.
sometimes, you
Yeah.
know?
And bad a lot of the time.
Yeah. Like, there are things that can be fun. Like, I would say that the fight through the Ket ship for Liam's, that, if you were actually doing it, was probably fun.
Right.
But for us as players, maybe not. But, like, there are fun moments, but more often than not, there are tragic moments. There are moments where you have to choose between someone else's life and your own. And that is not a decision that I think any of us on this call take lightly.
No. I mean, and we've also played, we're coming with the meta knowledge of the previous games we've played, and this tends to be the how this stuff shakes out. But it is interesting to hear Sid's side of it and like be shocked and appalled, and Vetra pretty much just being like, yeah, too bad. Like, this is how it is. Like, I hear you, but I tried to shelter you from this, but this is how it is. Like, you can't just make these decisions and then there's no fallout. There's always going to be fallout.
This was the moment where I kind of had the realization, oh, so maybe this is why some Turian parents are such Turian parents.
Yeah.
Vetra didn't have that Turian upbringing, right?
Right.
So she doesn't have that militant mindset. So Sid also doesn't have the militant mindset because Sid was raised by a teenager, basically.
Yeah.
Who's just doing her best.
She's just doing her best, man. And I appreciate Vetra's point of view because Vetra is right. Like, this is why I didn't want you super involved in what I do, because it is horrible. You don't have to deal with it. Like, you have a good job, you live a good life. You do not need to be dealing with what I have to do.
Yeah. But also, like, I get Sid's wanting to be more involved and do more.
No,
She feels like
definitely.
she's not doing enough. And when trying to do more, it's hard to not, like, when you're not used to what the fallout is, it's hard to not kind of be taken aback by it. So, like, this conversation feels very natural and makes sense for the characters.
You know how this could have been solved?
How?
Communication.
Well, yes. Nobody talks to
Probably.
anybody on this shit. Yeah, yeah.
Like, maybe if Vetra had let Sid in emotionally and really talked to her about her experiences, maybe Sid wouldn't just be like, I'm just gonna go off and use my sister's name and reputation to get whatever I want and not worry about making anyone mad because everybody's friends.
Or even just, like, onboarding her a little bit into the life. Like, she could have been doing a lot of those coordinations.
Yeah.
The logistics side of thing, and that's what it felt like to her she was doing, it seems. But she wanted to make the big helps. And she found a way to do that through the logistical channels. She just wasn't ready for warlord consequences.
I feel like Vetra could have taught Sid a, like, legal way, like a white hat way to do it.
Sure.
Without having...
She definitely knows them.
Yeah. So that Sid can be helpful, but also not have to worry about violent repercussions.
Sure, but
Right.
this would require Turians to be emotionally healthy and emotionally open, which they are neither, in most cases. At least from what we've seen.
I would like to meet one who's both.
Vetra tries.
Yeah. Vetra does try. But yeah, and so after this conversation, and we leave this room, we check in again with Sid, and silence, which is never a good thing. And so we check in, and then we hear Sid starting to panic. Apparently, Sid has been found. And so now it is a race to rescue Sid instead of a race to just escape. And in the final battle, before it starts, you are met with Merryweather, who is holding Sid hostage. And I appreciate, because when I saw them, I was like, wow, Merryweather is either tiny or Sid is tall. And so I commented on it. So then for it to follow with Ryder going, let her go, she's just a kid. And Merryweather going, are you kidding me? She's almost as tall as you are. What are you talking about? Like, I'm glad that comment was made because I was thinking it. And I love when BioWare kind of reads the room because those moments are always very funny.
The dinosaurs are just a tall people.
They're just tall people.
They're just tall raptor bird people.
Sid's like 16 or something. I don't know how old Sid actually is.
A teenager is
I was going to
illusion.
say, you're not very far off, I don't think.
Yeah.
And then we are given this opportunity to take a react trigger as Merryweather is monologuing to, like, and you're putting your weapons down to shoot. And, like, in the span of what was probably 10 seconds, I had a, like, 30-minute dialogue with myself about, like, what do I do here? Frankie very specifically said not to take every reaction trigger, and I haven't taken every one. But I was like, I also know that Ryder's a pretty good shot in most of these situations, and I really think that Ryder could probably pull this off, and so I did take it. I assume that both of you did as well?
I did not.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I couldn't, and I think it's just because of romancing Vetra. I was like, I can't
You
be
didn't
the
want to
one.
risk her.
I can't get her killed or miss and kill her.
Right, I was
Yeah.
like, that would put a damper on the relationship if you killed
That
his
would.
sister.
If it was Shepard, I would have taken the shot. Shepard,
That's
Shepard,
fair.
I trust with that shot. I've made that shot
That's
with
fair.
Shepard a bunch of times.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I thought about what I would do, and I felt like if I had the shot, I would take the shot.
Yeah. I mean, that was the logic, is like, I trust that Ryder in character could do it, but also, yeah, if I had the opportunity, I'd take it. And thankfully, Sid does not die. You catch Merryweather in the leg. Merryweather drops the grenade. It doesn't go off. Oh, it does go off at the start of
Vetra
combat.
runs in and
Yeah.
scoops it up and tosses it.
And it goes off to blowing up some of Merryweather's grunts, and then we have the fight.
Adam, what happens when you don't take it?
If you don't take it, oh god, what I don't remember what triggers the fight. She doesn't drop the grenade, does she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. If you shoot her, she drops the grenade.
What does happen? I didn't take the shot. I'm the one who didn't take the shot, and this is the thing I don't remember. I remember the fight commences. You still get the fight. Right, it's coming back to me. That's because I did this a week ago.
She lets Sid go.
She lets her go and runs for it. And so the fight commences with Merryweather running for it, and I just immediately hit her with both of my biotic triggers, and she was the first one down. It might be another instance where she could get away, or she might just be falling back to a better place for that gunfight.
Yeah, when you shoot her, she also was running away at the start of the battle, and I popped her with push, and she plummeted to her death.
Yeah, she does not take much for
No,
being
not a
built
powerful
up as
enemy.
much as she is.
And then the fight kind of proceeds as normal. You finish off all the bad guys, and then you get to have like a brief heart-to-heart with Sid, who like hunkers down against some crates after the fight, and it seems to be kind of a little bit in shock and overwhelmed at that point.
But she is okay. She was not hurt. Nothing bad happened to her.
Yep.
And now she has had a change of heart. Now she can handle it.
Yeah.
Ooh, fighting has got her blood up.
Yep.
I'm positive that's gonna stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely the time you make that decision for yourself.
She's a Turian. She wants to go to war.
and you get to talk with her with Vetra, and you can either kind of support Sid and be like, she did good today, she should be allowed these opportunities, or you can kind of like help Vetra scold her. And of course, I was continuing to be on Sid's side because in my experience, when I am with my friends or a partner's siblings, I will always side with the siblings to moderately torture or haze my partner. And so...
Because you're the baby.
I am the baby. I'm baby. And so that was always my choice.
There was a little bit of that from me in the beginning. I think it's the first time you get to decide which sister you're siding with. She's your sister. Thanks for the backup. But no, I sided with Sid also, especially if she decides after today that this is what she wants to do. You're not going to stop her, so you may as well help.
Yeah.
And make sure she does it safely. And,
she knows how to don't let her get herself killed or drag us into another trap door.
Yeah, exactly. Adam, what is your sibling experience?
I am also baby.
You're also baby?
I am 15 years younger than my older brother.
Okay. I have a very weird situation where I am 15 and 18 years younger than my two older brothers, but I am 5 years older than my younger brother. And I did not know about my younger brother until 2 years ago. So I grew up treated like baby, but was not baby, was secretly not baby. So now that I have a relationship with my younger brother, I think about these things, and I think about how he would be exactly like Sid in this situation, because he's a little chaos gremlin. He's 27 years old, and he is full of rage. And I think he would have gotten way more involved than Sid did and would have physically been there trying to punch Merryweather in the face. So that's what I have to do.
That's more like trying to raise Grunt, I think.
Yes.
Yes,
it is. But, Nick has a good heart. He's a good kid. And I don't know. I wish that we had this sibling relationship growing up, because I feel like it would have really enriched my life. Or I might have murdered him. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean... Frankie knows this, but I don't know if the listeners do. My relationship with my brother got better when he had his first kid and mellowed out, because we're 9 years apart, and when we lived together, I was his pain in the ass brat brother. Wanted nothing to do with me, even though his friends loved me, and so we didn't have.
Who doesn't love you, Matt?
I mean, it's true. Everyone does.
You're lovable.
But thank you. But as I got older, we started to talk more, and we had more common ground, and there was a lot of nerdy pop culture stuff we liked, and but he has always been protective, and the one time I mentioned to him I smoke pot, he's like, you better not do that shit again, and got really angry, and he's protective. I mean, joke's on him. Now I don't do anything except drink too much coffee, so it all worked out. But I can see this kind of relationship between me and him with similarity to Sid and Vetra, but not on the same level, because we are still as close as we are, and we're definitely very close. I don't know that we were ever as close as these two are because of the situation that Sid and Vetra were in, right? They didn't have anybody else. All they had was each other. Whereas Seth and I are very lucky to have had parents who were always there, sometimes obnoxiously too much. And so it's just a different kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm very lucky to have Nick in my life now. We have become very close and very protective of each other over the last 2 or 3 years, which was weird. I instantly had a little brother that I was very determined to protect and make sure that he was okay in the world. My dad died in 2016, as I've mentioned, and Nick and I connected in 2019. So I now have this little brother, and I have to tell him that our dad is dead. And it was this is not something I should tell you over Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
No, not the ideal medium of communication.
So I wanted to tell him when we were going to meet for the first time, so that way I could physically be there to support him. And I was about to say, I was I have something important to tell you. And he goes, is it that our dad is dead?
Okay. Well...
His adopted mom went through my Facebook.
Ugh.
And she found the post about my dad's memorial and was like, oh, I think your dad is dead.
Fucking hell.
Rita's very sweet. It was not done maliciously. She was just curious about me.
Right. It feels very like, oh, by the way. It didn't seem
Yeah.
malicious.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it wasn't
mom
malicious.
stuff.
It was just, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she raised Nick. She took care of him. She protected him. I know that they have their own issues, just like I have my own issues with our biological parents. But, like, we are very similar people for having grown up in different households.
Interesting
Which
how
is
that
weird.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always cool when that works out like that.
He is also a Mass Effect fan, so.
Oh, good. If he's listening, hello. If he's not, then I guess still hello.
He's probably not, because he is a terrible little gremlin, so.
So I guess we've covered everything except the like most obvious thing. Do we feel Sid was right? Right is not the right word, ironically, for this. I don't know
that's
Sid,
fair.
I don't know that Sid was right or wrong. I think Sid's heart was in the right place, and I tend to agree with Sid's sentiment. Whether Sid was right or wrong is kind of irrelevant. I think that if I were Sid's sibling, I'd probably be as mad as Vetra was, because I am a protective person, of just my friends even. But I think that Sid's heart is definitely in the right place, and she wanted to do the right thing, which I respect and admire.
I agree.
Yeah, same. It's not so much of she did the wrong thing per se, but like
She did the right thing the wrong way.
yeah, sure.
Sure, that makes sense.
There were safer ways to accomplish the same goals she was working toward that would have kept us in the loop of where we were going. Wouldn't have potentially had implications on Vetra's work contacts.
I do like at one point in the mission, Vetra does go, "That's why my contacts have been acting so weird." Like, it's always a fun
I
moment.
think that was the point where I yelled my Office reference at the TV of "Identity theft is not a joke, Jim."
Oh man, I wish Vetra would say that to Sid.
That would be funny.
Thousands suffer every year.
But that's it for this mission. Yeah, it wraps up here. I think it's Suvi, when I return to the ship, says, "By the way, Vetra wants to talk to you." I said, "That's great. I'm not ready to make a choice yet." Vetra can wait.
Vetra can wait.
So the betting pool's still open.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
I have not. Oh yes, I have not chosen who yet. It's narrowed down to 3. I've mentioned many times, but I've still not pulled the trigger. And this isn't just me playing it up for the show. I genuinely am having a crisis and can't decide. So
My situation was decided from the jump because while I have never fully understood on a like gut level the Garrus thing everybody has like that, every female Turian with a name I have a crush on.
That's valid.
that's valid.
Arya can rule as many planetoids as she wants. She let her go.
Yeah.
Well, it's now that time, that point in the episode where Frankie gives me something cryptic as advice, and then our guest maybe actually gives me advice. It's time for advice for a new galaxy.
You have the power to guide someone's future.
More cryptic shit. Love it. Great. Wonderful. Fantastic.
That applies to every BioWare game.
Pretty much, yeah. Adam, do you have any advice for me?
On a mechanical level, if you're not, go ahead and be taking those mining breaks around places. The asteroid's great, mineral rich, but make sure you're on the ground before you try and launch that probe. In terms of cryptic stuff, having just finished, and I will say this is a non-spoilery thing, I feel like this has the best, like, most satisfying feeling finale to play through of any of them except maybe 2.
Okay. All right.
But in terms of the cryptic version of that, it's not over till it's over.
It's not over till it's over.
Not helpful. Thanks. Great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no, it shouldn't be. You've got Sam for that.
That's fair. Even
Sam will take care of it.
Sam isn't always helpful either, stating the obvious.
Sam does his best.
A wall is not a door. Thank you, Sam. Well, now it is time for Adam Bailey to choose a character. It's time for the Andromeda Ask Meme. Adam, who is your character to choose?
I tried to catch the ones that have already been done. Have we done Callow? If we haven't done Callow, I want to do Callow.
Did we do Callow?
Because as I was listening through, I feel like I remember catching when Vetra got done.
I don't think we did Callow.
Okay.
Let's do Callow.
What is a story you retell years later?
Oh god, that's awful because that's like all of them. I just recycle stories. It's actually a weird little ghost story. is the one that I tell the most, I guess, regularly from longest ago.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick and just say this does not have to be like an original story or anything like that. When I wrote it, it was more like, what is a story, like a personal
that I
story?
share?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
something that's happened to you or your friends
Yeah.
that you share all the time.
Yeah. Like this one time.
Yeah, no, that's what this is.
Okay.
Is
Perfect.
in the vein of a ghost story, as it were. In high school, it was Halloween. I got dragged by... I was with a friend, and a mutual friend of his was over, and he dragged us into the cemetery for some weird Confederate cemetery thing that I was like, I'm just gonna hang out in the regular part of the cemetery. But, little teeny wrought iron gate around that specific area... whatever, we're getting ready to go back to my friend's house and actually, I don't know, have electrical power or anything, because it was well past the point where anyone was going to give us candy. We were high schoolers and not in any kind of costume. They come back out, close the little gate, or no, they don't close the little gate. The gate is open, and that's the important part, because I'm bent over tying my shoe, and all of a sudden, with no wind, the gate just slammed shut.
Gasp.
Yeah,
Spooky.
it being in high school on Halloween in the middle of the night, it was super creepy. Now I'm mostly interested in what made it slam shut like that, since it was old enough to not have, like, the spring hinge or anything, but, maybe it was ghosts.
Maybe it was ghosts. I think it was ghosts.
It
I
could
choose
be.
to believe.
I don't want
that
it to
was
be
ghosts.
ghosts in the Confederate cemetery. Just a bunch of old Southern racist ghosts.
Well, they have to be miserable in their afterlife, so
Yeah, exactly.
That's valid.
I can't imagine that they're like happy to be ghosts.
I don't think I don't know. Show me the alternatives brochure, and I might warm up to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Beetlejuice ghosts had it fine unless they tried to leave the
It's true.
house.
That's true. Matt, do you have a story?
I do, and it's actually a story that we both experienced. And it's funny, it's not a story about me, it's something I witnessed that I tell over and over again. I tell the story every time I go to do karaoke with anyone. It's a story about my friend Mike. At one of the various karaoke birthday or events that Frankie and I had attended and gone to with a bunch of our friends, we're drinking, we're hanging out, we're having fun, we're being goofy, singing songs everyone knows, singing obscure songs no one knows. And then my friend Mike, who's a goofball, was like, I'm going to sing Kiss from a Rose by Seal. And we're like, all right, yeah, do it. And so he boots it up, and the karaoke machine or the karaoke rooms usually have screens, and like it shows the lyrics, and it shows some bootleg video or sometimes the actual video. Well, this boots up, and it's the actual Seal music video, which is awesome, but there are no lyrics. And we're like, oh, well, I guess we'll have to just do a different one. And Mike's like, I got this. With no lyrics, doesn't miss a beat, sings the entire song, gets up on the table, serenades me personally, like just kills it. And then like the whole room just erupts in applause at the end. It was brilliant. It was just the dumbest, best thing I had ever seen. And so whenever I do karaoke with friends who know Mike or don't know Mike, I tell this story because I love this moment.
It's a very good moment.
It's an impressive song to nail without the lyric sheet.
It is.
It is.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I do remember that. I don't tell that story though because like I don't care about Mike. No offense.
That's fair.
All of my stories are like about John saying dumb things.
I mean, sure, you with someone long enough, that happens. I'm sure I have plenty of stories about you saying dumb things.
Like, I was sitting at my desk working, and John walks by me. This was when my desk was in the foyer, so it was like right next to the bedroom door. So John has to walk behind me to move into the bedroom. So he walks behind me and he stops next to me and he looks down at my hand and he points at the ring on my ring finger and says, I have a ring that looks just like that.
No shit, Sherlock.
Listeners, it was our matching wedding bands that he was referring to.
Oh, he wasn't saying it ironically to be a jerk. He really genuinely.
No, he
Well
was
played.
dead
Well
serious. Like,
played.
I have a
good.
ring exactly like that. I was like, I should hope so.
John is the dumbest smart person I've ever met.
He really is.
I love him.
I love him.
I love him too. But yeah,
He's
he's a
so great.
doofus.
He is a big doofus. Big doofus man.
Amazing. That's a great story.
That is.
I would
that
like
is
to tell
terrific.
a bonus John story.
Sure.
Because this happened recently. I'm definitely going to be retelling this for years to come. I was talking to John about my job. We're looking for someone to replace me. And I was joking and I said, you could always jump ship from your job and apply for mine. And he was like, I would, except for the fact that I hate everyone in your BNI except for Emma. Emma, I would fight a man for Emma. Like, not for Emma, but if Emma messaged me and was like, hey, I need you to fight a guy, I'd fight a man for Emma.
Amazing. Love it. Shout out to Emma, who probably doesn't listen.
Emma Tang for Websites with a Bang.
Nice.
I'm going to tell Emma that she accidentally sponsored us this week.
Awesome. That was amazing. With that, we have one last thing to talk about. We've been getting a bunch of emails recently, which thank you. Please reignitepod@gmail.com if you want to send us a missive. Tell us what you love about the show, what you don't love about the show, what you would love to see in the future from the show. You know, along with rating and reviewing, it's our favorite thing. We love seeing emails from you. And we got a new one titled Lovefest/product requests. So like both sharing what they love and also being effective in getting what they want. It's a good twofer, you know? If you're going to write a podcast, you want to shower them with some compliments before you ask for stuff.
But butter them up. It's the ideal way to handle podcasters in my experience.
Yes. And I mean, you know, Frankie and I are incredibly vain, so it works.
It's true.
So this is from Kyle, and Kyle writes, my name is Kyle, and I just finished season 2. Not only are you rekindling my love of a series I've played somewhere between 40 and 70 times, but Andromeda only once. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I'm finding that listening to Matt and MJ give a detailed retrospective beats the experience I would have replaying them now that I'm 30 and don't own any game systems anymore, regrettably. Aw, that's a bummer. You should buy yourself more video game systems.
Treat yourself.
Not sure if anyone has told you this, but I'm actually becoming much more progressive-minded person by listening to you guys and hearing your reasoning and thinking and making the choices that you do. The more I listen, the more I'm finding that I agree with you. I'm a bit odd in that I identify as asexual, aromantic, but was always put off by not feeling represented and included in the queer community. I feel like you two have become my friends and have helped me feel more comfortable with myself as well. That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that.
We are friends.
We are friends.
I've decided.
I like trying to help. Like, ideally, you want to change hearts and minds, right? You know, we are a left-leaning podcast. We are people who want everyone to be treated equally and fairly and all of that. And like we've butted heads with other reviewers who have reviewed the show saying it's too woke and other things. And so, like, it's nice to hear that. I'm glad that you feel more comfortable with yourself listening to us because we feel comfortable being ourselves here. And then he just wraps up by saying, anyway, I was wondering if you could make the Reignite logo available on coasters. I really feel like it would be the perfect coaster because of its shape, and I would add it to the ones I've included in the picture below. Thank you both. I can't wait to listen to the 3rd, 4th, and whatever 5th season might bring. Well, I've got news for you. We are definitely doing more seasons, but we're not telling you what yet. So there. But thank you, Kyle. Thank you for writing us. That's
just
lovely.
because Matt's stupid and annoying.
I am stupid and annoying. I don't want to commit to the bit yet. Everyone knows where we're headed after this. I just don't want to commit to it.
You don't get coasters or a teaser.
Exactly. No, actually, the coasters weren't omitted from Redbubble with intention. I looked today and didn't see them, but I figured Redbubble would have them. But we can look into those options. I just not thought that of all the different things you can put stuff on Redbubble, that coasters wouldn't be there. And maybe I didn't look hard enough, so I will double check that. And if I find a link, I will send you one. But thank you for writing us.
That was a really sweet email, guys.
It was.
It was very sweet. It made me very emotional.
I like hearing awesome things from our listeners, so thank you.
Also, like, Matt and I are both out and queer,
Yes.
right? And Adam, you are also a member of our queer community.
And out.
And out. And to be told as a queer person that I have made another queer person feel safe, feel seen, that's just really like intense and powerful for me, because that's what I want to be doing. And that's what I hope to be doing with our show, with my writing, with anything that I work on, is to make people feel seen and heard.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've gone on my own gender and sexuality journey, you know, with this podcast and my other stuff publicly. And so like hearing that it's helped other people too is just, it means the world to me. So again, thank you, Kyle. We hope to hear from you again. If you have not yet wrote us a review, we would love that too. But just seriously, thank you for writing us and being a part of this incredible community. Also, you should join our Discord. There are tons of other really gay people there. Anyway.
Yes, and we can be friends.
We can be friends. But that is it. That is a wrap on this week's episode. Our next episode, we will be helping out our favorite chaotic biotic rogue academic. We are going to be doing PB's loyalty mission, and we will be joined, guaranteed, so we can actually say it in advance, with the one and only, the very loved Case Aiken, who will be joining us, better known as Carter's husband. Case is joining us for his yearly appearance on the podcast, this time covering PB's loyalty mission, and so we're excited to have Case back on for that. Adam, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me. It's always... I love BioWare and Bethesda games more than anything in video gaming, so it is genuinely a pleasure to be able to just sit down for an hour and nerd out about either, and y'all are fun to talk to, and I got to be on there with y'all reading that really heartwarming email, so I'm going to leech off some of that warm heart.
Well, we love having you, Adam. You're a genuine delight. And please now tell folks where they can find you online if you wish to be found, and of course find your new incredible actual play show and other things.
Absolutely. I am you're not gonna find me really interacting a ton on social media. If you do want to interact with me, our podcast's Twitter is run by my character from the podcast, and
Amazing.
That is the
Amazing.
closest you're likely to get to actually interacting with me. That is allegedly D&D pod on Twitter. That is allegedly the letter D, the letter N, the letter D pod. I believe that's our handle on most of the social media, and I will definitely, Matt, pass that on to you and drop our website in the show notes. We are a bi-weekly, largely female, very largely queer cast actual play set in kind of a steampunky world, so it's got neat stuff, and I mostly just faff about and talk shit. It's a bard's life.
It's a bard's life.
Amazing. Everyone, please go check that out.
All right. If you like what you heard here, please follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram, Facebook.com/ReignitePod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at iHoardLibraries and Matt at DJ_Stormageddon. Rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher if you can. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
We're also members of the Certain Point of View Podcast Network. You can visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on that very website and join in the conversation. There are still conversations to be had about both Mass Effect, video games in general, and all sorts of other cool stuff like comic books, TV, movies. They just announced Phase 5 and 6. For God's sakes, you got to come talk about it. There's so much stuff to do on our Discord server, so come hang out.
I love when you say that our very own Discord. It reminds me of Hello from the Magic Tavern saying this very table, this very Discord.
Yeah.
Every time you say it, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I got very distracted by my own brain making connections to other things.
Sounds about right.
Hey, that's just like the state of being for myself.
So if you enjoy listening to my brain make connections to other things that are irrelevant, or you enjoy Andromeda shenanigans, then you should catch me over on Archives of the Dragon every other Monday, where my spouse, Professor John Bradley Lestrange, leads us through the wild unknown outside the Helios cluster in Andromeda. You can find that at twitch.tv/Arc of the Dragon.
You can also find everything that I do over at djstormageddon.com. It has all of the podcasts that I do, my merch store, my Ko-fi, just pretty much anything related to me and the stuff that I do. You can go there. I want to remind folks, as it will be coming up shortly after this airs, I will be at FlameCon. Jeff and I will be doing a panel along with CPOV's very own Rachel Quirky Shank and Wally, who is a previous guest of Screen Snark, and it is called Leather Daddies and Goth Girlfriends, Horror Representation Beyond Queer-Coded Villains. And we're going to talk about queer-coded villains in horror games and like how the queer community has flourished within horror games and how horror games have also helped us flourish and everything in between. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're a fan of fun and games, it is going to be a similar kind of discussion. And that's exciting. I don't know what day yet of that weekend, but that weekend of FlameCon, we will be there. As soon as I know the exact date and time for the panel, I will share it here and on my social media.
We'd like to thank Red Spinks for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble featuring our favorite marshmallow, Caden Alenko. You can find more of his work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
We'd also like to thank our guest coming up on the next episode, Carter's husband, a.k.a. Case Aiken, a.k.a. the guy who makes too many shirts for our network. You can go see incredible, amazing shirt designs by him over at certainpov.com or on the Certain POV Teespring.
And thank you to David Boyle for redesigning our logo like a champ. And lastly, thank you to JT Music and Andrea Stormcaden for our new theme music. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And I'm Adam. Good luck, Pathfinders.
Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. Feels like home.
Video games are a unique medium.
They can tell stories,
Immerse us in strange, fantastic worlds.
blur the very boundaries of our reality.
But at the end of the day, video games are fun, whatever fun is to you.
I'm Jeff Moonen,
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
and on Fun and Games, we talk about the history, trends, and community of video games.
It's a celebration of all the games we play and all the fun we find within them.
And there's so many more games out there, so we hope you'll share in that conversation with us.
Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff. Find us on certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And happy gaming.
CertainPOV.com.